Excited to be joined on the phone this morning by Geoff Tate. He's bringing his big rock show hits to the Vault in Saginaw tomorrow night. Geoff, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm excited that you're coming back to Saginaw. I tell people when we started talking about this show that it was probably mid to late 2000s. We had you in studio doing an acoustic performance, and we had the studio door open, and your voice bellowed through the hallways of this entire radio station. You couldn't go anywhere in this building. If you were in the bathroom with the door closed, you could still hear Geoff Tate in the bathroom. It was that incredible. We've done a lot of acoustic performances in here. That is one that has stuck with me, so I'm excited that you're coming back to Saginaw tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I have that issue with my voice being really loud, and when I sing, especially, I get a lot of complaints in hotel rooms,
I can imagine. Now, you're making your way back into the States after a show last night in Toronto. How has this leg of the Big Rock Show Hits Tour, how has it gone?
Oh, it's been great. Yeah, we've been rolling through a lot of places. We started, I think, in Florida and went through the South, and now we're kind of making our way up the Northeast before we head out west next week. But it's been going great. We've had great weather, great audience turnout, and people have been very happy.
I hope you had the chance to enjoy that nice weather in Florida, because right now here in Saginaw, it's raining and dark and dreary, and they're talking about the possibility of snow. So I don't think you're going to get that great weather here.
Well, you take whatever you got, and you better try to make the best of it,
Now, as I was getting ready for this interview, I was going through previous dates on setlists.fm, and it doesn't look like Geoff Tate ever stops touring. When was the last time that you were off the road for a considerable amount of time? Because as I look through even the past few years, and I was going back to 3 and 4 years ago, it's not more than a couple of weeks here and there that you're off the road. When's the last time you sort of stopped for a minute?
Yeah, I can't remember when that would be. I know last year, according to my accountant, I spent 20 days in my own home. Yeah, it's crazy. But, it keeps me out of trouble. It keeps me busy, and there's a demand for the performances. So I'm very happy that people want to hear me sing, and that people are, wanting to come to the concerts. It's a very fortunate situation I'm in, and I feel very grateful.
Joined on the phone by Geoff Tate. He'll be at the Vault in Saginaw tomorrow night. When you spend that much time on the road, when you're only home at your own home for 20 days, how are you occupying your time? I mean, I know you do stuff like you've got interviews and you do press, and I know you've got VIP and you do meet and greets. When you have the show, of course, what are you doing when you're not doing all the other sort of work-related stuff? How do you occupy your time when you're on the road so much?
Well, I write a lot, prepare for new albums and things like that. We've got a couple of records I'm working on right now, which through the use of modern technology is great. I can record in most places I go, hotel rooms and that kind of thing, backstage at the shows and dressing rooms. I set up a portable studio with me wherever I go. Other than that, I sleep. I try to see the sights of the city, that I'm in. I've been to a lot of cities multiple times, and so I've seen the sights over and over again. But this time, I'm on tour with my daughter Angel. She's touring with me, and so she and I get to go out and look at stuff that she's never seen before. So it's kind of fun to see things through her eyes,
How exciting is it to have your daughter on the road with you? And though you've been on the road now for decades, seeing these different parts of the country, these different parts of the world, how exciting is it for you to have her there with you, to experience those things that you have experienced over the years?
Yeah, it's great. It actually helps you see things kind of differently, I think the older you get a little jaded and cynical about stuff, and when you hang out with your kids, you sort of see things through their perspective a little bit more, I think it helps you appreciate where you're at much easier.
Now, I know that much of the last year was spent on the road celebrating the 30th anniversary of Operation Mindcrime, and I read in another interview that you weren't sure at first if you wanted to go out and tour that album. What was the concern for you personally? Why would you even debate taking that out, and what led you to say, you know what, let's go ahead and do this thing? And you spent the entire year kind of touring that album, that anniversary. Yeah,
well, it was. I guess it's just the fact that I've played it before. Played the songs so many times that I just wondered if it would be, fresh enough for other people to enjoy. And would my enthusiasm for performing be there, having done it so many times? But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the interaction with the audience and having the experience of their enthusiasm for the music was really kind of enlightening and actually gave me a lot of, more energy, I suppose, to perform it well. I really feed off the audience quite a bit, especially with that album. I guess because it's sort of a story, and you get involved with the story as a performer. And if the audience is pushing you through it, with their enthusiasm, it makes for a much better performance.
You talk about the excitement of playing these songs, and on the Big Rock Show Hits Tour, you're playing a lot of songs, you're playing a lot of fan favorites. And I'm curious, when you're putting a set list together like this, you want to have that excitement from the fans that they're hearing those songs they want to hear. But I have to imagine that as a performer, because you've been playing these songs for so long, you want to have that you want to be excited about what you're playing too, because you play these songs over and over and over. Is it easy for you to put together a set list that's exciting for both the fans and exciting for you, the guy who has to go out night in and night out and play Toronto and Buffalo and Saginaw? Is it easy for you to put together a set list to cover all that?
Well, it helps if you have a concept of what you're trying to do, like a game plan. The game plan for this particular tour was to put a set list together based upon music that was released as a single or a video throughout my career. So in that sense, it made it really easy to pick the songs because there's a finite list, And then it comes down to putting it together in a way that it makes sense for a show, so it has dynamics and, room to breathe and that kind of thing, which is really important when you're putting together a show. You can't cram a bunch of slow songs together, At the same time, you have to kind of spread them out if you have them and put them in a sense or an order that makes sense to people.
Now, with Big Rock Show Hits, you're out on the road with that right now. You've got dates scheduled through much of 2024. I know 2025 will mark the 35th anniversary of Empire, which was your most commercially successful release. You did it with Operation Mindcrime. Do you think you'll take time to take Empire out and do the 35th anniversary thing again like you did with Mindcrime last year?
Well, it is tempting because the Mindcrime presentation went so well and was so well received. I think I toured 38 countries with that tour. So, it's very tempting to do that. I can't even think that far ahead right now. Honestly, I'm thinking next week. That's as far as I'm looking ahead.
Well, tomorrow night you'll be in Saginaw playing the Vault. We've got the Big Rock Show Hits Tour coming. You can still buy tickets at the Vault box office, thevaulteventcenter.com. You mentioned while you're on the road, you're always writing. Where are you at with new music? Is that something... I know, and I've talked to artists in the past, and they say we're always writing. There's always inspiration out there. There's always things to be written. But also, the music industry has changed so much that maybe we don't even want to bother putting out that new music that we're writing because of, bands are just putting out singles now. They're not doing albums, or the Spotifys of the world have changed everything. Where are you at in terms of writing, releasing new music? And has your opinion of that sort of stuff changed with the direction the music industry has gone?
Well, it's two different things, really. The writing is a whole different animal, And I've been kind of... I haven't released a new album, I think, since 2017 of my own material. But I have released a group effort called Sweet Oblivion that I've recorded with some Italian musicians. And we've done 2 albums, and I'm working on the 3rd one now, which I'm probably a quarter of the way through with that. And then I have a solo album that's pretty much finished and just sitting there waiting for release, and another project that I'm working on, which I don't know when that's going to be released either, or how it's going to be released yet, because that's a whole different animal itself, the releasing of music nowadays. I think it's really exciting that the album is kind of something that people aren't releasing anymore, but they're releasing sets of songs and singles and things like that and spreading them over a period of time. It kind of keeps you in the mindset of your audience a lot longer than just releasing one album and having it done. You kind of spread the release of your music out over a long period of time, and that kind of keeps you more in tune with your audience, I think, which is kind of a neat idea. And I think I'll probably go that route, when the time comes.
Yeah, when you think about, back when you released Mind, Crime, and Empire, they're a couple of years apart. There are bands that are taking, Metallica is, of course, a perfect example. They take 6, 7, 8 years. Tool, 6, 7, 8 years between albums. And yeah, I think putting out a song here, a song there, a collection of songs, as you said, maybe it's a 4-song EP or whatever, you keep that top of mind awareness like, hey, we're still here, we're still doing stuff. And you can still tour in support of all the stuff you've done in the past, too.
Yeah, there's no limit, really, on what you can tour with, really, which is exciting. So you don't have to necessarily release new music to tour anymore. And I think that's a welcome change. Because, gosh, I've got 19 albums, to choose from.
Yeah, it's a vast library of music that Geoff Tate has the opportunity to play when he goes out and plays these shows. Joined on the phone by Geoff Tate. He'll be at the Vault coming up tomorrow night here in Saginaw. TheVaultEventCenter.com if you want to buy your tickets. You mentioned writing music, but I've read that you're working on a memoir, and I know that fans are excited. And these are some of the most exciting things for me to read, is hearing these sort of stories, because we don't get a glimpse into that sort of lifestyle. We don't get a glimpse into the behind the scenes and what transpired when. And I imagine that Geoff Tate has quite the story to tell.
Yeah, it's pretty involved. I'm a journaler, so I have to keep pretty good notes about what happens every day, and I've been doing that all my career. So I've got extensive recollections of events, which is kind of a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing that I have the information. It's a curse that I have the information. So yeah, it's really about deciding what to release, and what to say, and how to say it, really. It's a tricky thing, because honestly, as life goes on and unfolds, it's not always, neat and tidy. There's really big, messy sections of life, and they deserve to be talked about, I think, and discussed. And everybody sees it differently. My perspective is one angle. My drummer's perspective is another. He lived a different life than me, although we shared some experiences. But how people see those experiences is, in my experience, very, very different. So I think when the book is done, it'll be a real interesting read for people. I know it's been really interesting to write.
Yeah, how do you, I know that you have memories, but I'm sure a lot of stuff sort of flows together because you're out on the road, like you said, 330, 40 days a year. Are you going back and going through some of those journals and remembering things? Like, I can't believe I forgot that had happened. That should go in there. And then when you have all those journals, how do you decide what goes in, what stays out?
Yeah, that's the hard part, is editing it, There's a lot of really boring sections, of life, where you're just kind of contemplating your next endeavor or your next mood. But there's also really interesting sections like planning for albums and, what happened in the studio, the joys, the high points, the low points of struggling with different personalities within the organization, and also people that you hire to work with you, like producers and engineers, and how you may have an idea of how that's going to work when you start out, but then you get it working with them and it's not working out, and how do you make that all happen, And then there's all the ancillary antidotes that happen, with nearly getting arrested in Amsterdam and things like that,
Well, I'm excited to read the book once it comes out. And if that's not enough with writing music and writing your memoir and being out on the road as much as you are, I am fascinated by the side business that you have with your wife, Backstage Travel, because I know that in the music industry now, it's not easy to... a lot of bands have found different ways to sort of connect with their fans, as opposed to radio stations give away meet and greets. Now, bands will sell VIP experiences. They'll give fans the chance to purchase those experiences. What you're doing with Backstage Pass Travel is kicking that up a notch, so to speak, where fans have the opportunity to travel with you to Italy, to Ireland. How did this all come about, where you give these fans this once in a lifetime opportunity to go out on a major trip with you?
Well, it had its genesis really through taking some friends on a trip through France one time. And actually, one of our our friends had such a great time. They said, you should share this with your fan base. I think people would really like it. And we did, and it became hugely successful. And it's something I really enjoy doing. What we do is we take people on a vacation, really, for a week in different locations. Like you mentioned, we go to Tuscany for several weeks in a row. We have a villa we stay in. We have a chef that cooks meals for everyone. We have a giant swimming pool on top of this mountain. And we spend time there kind of getting to know people and sharing meals and stories, and we play a lot of music. In the daytime, we take day trips out to see the various sites in the area, visit, wineries and shops and, artisanal places. And it's fantastic, actually. I have a great time with it. And I think people that experience it have a great time with it as well, because they keep coming back for the various trips. And we've expanded now, and we have trips in Germany, Italy, several in Ireland. We have one in Greece. We have one in Montana and one in the Pacific Northwest. And it's quite a trip, I have to say.
So when you're not out on the road performing, you're out on the road as like a tour guide.
I am, yes. I'm a tour guide. I have to do something with the experience I have with going to these different places. It really helps. And I think what people really like about it, though, is they like, after a day of sightseeing, they like coming back to the venue that we're staying at, and they like kind of unwinding with music and the food experience and the stories. It's wonderful.
I tell you what, it's pretty incredible what you do with Backstage Past Travel. And I've looked at photos and saw just all these smiling faces of people that get to go around the world with you. That's incredible. And it's incredible that you're coming to Saginaw tomorrow night at the Vault. Tickets are still available. Geoff Tate, for those people that are still sort of on the fence about coming to the show tomorrow night, tell them what they can expect at the Vault tomorrow.
Well, it's the Big Rock Show, and it's a perfect name for it. It's all the songs that if you're familiar with Queensryche and you're familiar with my solo material, you're going to hear songs you know. It's a very high energy sort of presentation. I've got a group of musicians playing with me. That's an international group of musicians from France and Italy and Ireland and Scotland. And me and Danny Laverde, my drummer, were the only Americans in the whole group. But it's a fantastic group of people who take the music very seriously and play it like to perfection. And people are very happy with the show, and they come see it.
It's going to be a fun night at the Vault Friday night, tomorrow night. The Vault in Saginaw, thevaulteventcenter.com. Get your tickets at the door. Geoff Tate coming back to Saginaw after he sung as loud as humanly possible here in the Z93 studios some 15 years ago. Geoff, excited to have you back in town tomorrow, and I appreciate you doing this early in the morning today.
Thank you, Matt. I enjoyed talking with you, and thanks for having me on your show.